Hello and welcome to Dog Days, where we talk about all things cannabis. I am your hostess with the mostest, Holly B, and I have a very special guest in the doghouse today. We have Austen Bourassa, who is the founder and owner of Inspired Jewel, which we're going to talk about today, which is an apothecary specializing in beard oil. Welcome to the show, Austen.
Thanks, Holly. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, congratulations on graduating from the MCST program. Welcome to the alumni group.
Thanks.
So that just happened when like last month in May was.
Yeah, it was May 20th. I didn't go.
Austen.
I didn't go. I actually had back surgery a couple of years, like a year and a half ago, and I'm still not cleared to travel. It was a big boy back surgery. I actually had a couple of discs taken out, a couple of prosthetics put in, and I had hardware in my back. Basically, it looks like I have zip ties when you look at the
My
X-ray.
gosh.
So my doctors still won't allow me to travel. So I wasn't cleared to go. But I was able to give my tickets to somebody, which was really good because it was her first master's degree, and she had a lot of folks come in. And this is actually my third master's degree, but
it's variety life, variety is the spice of life.
And this is actually the one that I think I'm going to use the most, because the other two is like, it helps me, see the world differently. But this is the one that I'm actively using. So
beautiful. So what are your other master's degree in? Because I think one of them, you've been in the mental health field for almost 20 years up to this point.
I was in mental health for about a little over 20 years. I have a bachelor's and a master's degree in African American studies.
Oh,
it's kind of like sociology, but like specialized, really. And then I got a bachelor's degree in healthcare administration, and then I got a master's degree in nonprofit management. And then COVID hit, and I thought, oh, I'll just get out of pharmacy and go into before COVID hit. I thought I was going to use the nonprofit management degree. Thought, oh, I'll leave pharmacy and go do this, but that's not what happened. Because COVID hit, so I just stayed in pharmacy, and I'm glad I did, because that really brought me to the cannabis industry.
So you do have a master's degree in are you a pharmacist?
Nope.
No. Okay.
Nope. I'm a tech. I'm probably the most educated tech you'll ever meet.
Yeah.
But I really love it. I was in retail for a little while. That's how I started in pharmacy. I had moved down to Virginia to be with my girlfriend at the time, and I needed a job. I had the degree in healthcare administration, and the field was just so saturated. Between that and mental health, it was so saturated in that area. And I had a friend that was a hiring manager for CVS who said, if you want to go into pharmacy, I can get you in. And I'm like, well, okay, I've never tried it, but let's see what happens. And I never expected to fall in love with pharmacy, ever. I never thought that this would become like a field that I would love. And I really do love pharmacy. I never want to work retail again, but but I did work retail for like 6 years. Like, about 3 of those years were part-time, but the first 3 were full-time, and CVS paid for my national certification. So I keep it active, and I use it every day of my life. Even the days that I'm not working, I use it, because I'm always trying to figure out other stuff to do with it. And I use that even in my business, because the apothecary section of my business is really about the pain rollers that I make with CBD.
Yes.
And by becoming interested in all things pharmaceutical, it really led me to the balance that you have with, like, the natural herbal medicinal options versus the pharmaceutical options. And I really think that there's a space in everybody's life for both. I don't think one way is the only way. I think nowadays, I really think that it's a hybrid. Like, I think your best course of action for the average person is really a mixture of the two.
Yeah. So with that pharmacy background, you going into the MCST program, you kind of knew the language. And so I came from a business background, and with the program, it's open to anybody who has a bachelor's degree.
It is.
And it
And
didn't
that's
even have to be a Bachelor of Science degree.
no, it doesn't. And I think that
So we
that's
had
the
all
best
kinds of
part.
people,
Yeah,
we
that's the
have all
best part.
kinds of people with all kinds of backgrounds, which makes it unique.
Hmm.
And because I think the people from different backgrounds bring something unique to the table. So we have very unique graduates coming out of that program. I don't see it as a negative. I see it as a
I
positive.
do too. And I think it's great because we kind of learn from each other, and it also changes, I think, who you gravitate to, professor wise in the program. I mean, I liked pretty much all the professors, but the person that I think I gravitated the most to was Tiffany Buckley. Um,
Okay.
but I also really gravitated a lot towards Chad Johnson, because I kind of felt like they kind of like, I don't know. I just felt like I understood them a lot,
Yeah.
and Andy Coop was another one that I really like. Felt like I was on the same wavelength with. Like he's just like they're so. All three of those guys are so brilliant, but they just like I felt like they were talking my language, kind of. And with Andy Coop, his special gift, I think, is that he can take these concepts that are like so far above everybody else and just like knock them down and just make you understand them. Like he just hammers it home so the average person who doesn't understand chemistry on this like PhD level can just understand it. And that's perfect because most people don't understand chemistry. And definitely not on a PhD level, even if you do understand it. So, and that's important. You gotta
It
understand.
is.
You gotta understand.
Yeah, and so that hopefully our conversation here will kind of tell people don't be intimidated
No,
by
don't.
it because you have professors who really want you to succeed, and also your classmates want to see
Mhm.
you succeed. So there's study groups that you can break
Mhm.
out to, and they can help you a little bit along the way. There's also two tracks to it. So you had the policy tract, and then you had the more medical
Mhm.
tract. So, if you're a doctor, you're a nurse, very, science heavy, there is a track for you to bloom and
Yep.
grow and blossom and kind of dig in there deep. And then you have the policy part, which that's the track that I took. And it's still the sciencey part of it, of course,
Mhm.
but it's a little bit lighter and definitely palatable and doable. Shoot, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Well, my mom laughs all the time because if you had told either one of us when I was like, graduating high school that I would ever go into anything science at all, we both would have laughed at you. Both of us would have hysterically laughed because when I graduated high school, it was like everything art only, everything art. And I started out as like a painting and illustration major. That's where I started. And when I graduated with my first degree, I had a minor in photography,
Oh,
and here we are. So like, you never know where life is going to take you. Um,
you
you
really
know,
don't.
but my best advice that I can give any of your listeners out there is if you have any interest at all in anything cannabis, that you look at this program because even if you don't want to get your master's degree, there's a certificate program for you.
Hmm.
And I am very much a believer in get educated, get your education as much of it as you can because nobody can take that away from you.
Yeah.
Once you have it, nobody can take it away from you.
I
So
say that all the
get it.
time to
Get it.
people. Oh my gosh, we're so much alike. Yes.
Especially if you have a way to get it without it costing you anything. Like if you
Mm.
are a vet and you can go on a GI Bill, or if you
Hmm.
have, some kind of a scholarship option or whatever, definitely get it. Get any education you can. If you have an employer that will pay for it, whatever, just
Yeah.
do what you can do to get educated in any way, shape, or form, because then you can just constantly expand your mind. And I mean, you can read all you want, but if you don't have a little bit of like a springboard to jump off of, sometimes you can't always put all the pieces together. Sometimes you can, but sometimes
Yeah.
you can't. It just depends on what it is. But
Yeah, absolutely. Because
yeah,
ever since I've graduated, I've automatically had a seat at different tables.
yes,
So,
it's exactly.
networking events, I can basically walk into any kind of venue setting that has to do with cannabis, and I automatically have like a reserved seat at the table.
Well, and I really want to shout out to Mo Smith with Cannabis Public Schools because if it weren't for her and CPS, we wouldn't have met, first of all. I mean, maybe one day, but not when we did. And she's lovely, and her idea of free education about cannabis. If anybody is interested in learning and isn't ready to take the plunge into like a formalized program, that's a great place to start.
Ugh, love it.
Because I mean, it's an hour of your day on a Sunday. I mean, it's a
Hmm.
little early for folks on the West Coast because it's 9 a.m., but it's definitely worth the time. I mean, you can kind of come and go as you like. You don't have to attend every week, but the stuff you learn is just like, I mean, as much as you and I know, I always learn stuff. There's not a
Yes.
week that I go that I sign on or Zoom that I don't learn something.
Hmm.
I always
I,
learn something.
I absolutely agree. Mo does a fantastic job, and I try to push her stuff on LinkedIn, kind of repost it and
Hmm.
stuff because
Hmm.
it's, I don't know how she gets a hold of these wonderful guest speakers,
It's
but
amazing. It's amazing.
she's magic, a
She
little
is.
cannabis angel, if you will.
She's like the cannabis med fairy.
So you are coming to us from Rhode Island.
Yes.
Let's see, Pawtucket, Rhode Island.
You pretend there's no W in there. Pawtucket.
Pawtucket. Okay.
Pawtucket. That's how you say it like a native. Pawtucket. There's no W, even though there's a W. And I think that's a Narragansett word, actually. That's a Native American word. Um,
That's awesome. So,
yes.
what's the cannabis scene in Rhode Island? What you guys got going on up there?
So in 2022, we went rec legal. We went adult use
Oh,
legal.
wow.
We've been medicinally legal for, I want to say about 15, maybe 20 years, 15 or 20 years.
Wow.
We've been medicinally legal for a while. In fact, the Slater Center is named after the I don't know if he was, I think he was a congressman that fought really hard to get medically legal. And
Nice.
so their dispensary in Providence, they're actually right across the street from the big post office. So when you drive, if you drive into the post office to like drop stuff off, you can smell like it smells like cannabis. Like you can smell it.
I
And
love that.
quite a few people complain about it because they're like, "Oh my god, why does it smell like pot?" But it's funny to me. But I mean, they do a good business, and they became a hybrid. When they were passing the legislation to be, adult use legal, they changed their model from obviously just medicinal to a hybrid. But also a lot of like smaller shops popped up that are, adult use. But I still think Slater and Greenleaf's a hybrid as well, and they're I think they're in Middletown. They're on the other section of the state. Not that the state's big; it takes an hour to get across the whole state. But I mean, when I lived in Virginia, you couldn't even get across the whole county, and
Right?
but um, but they do a really good job. Of doing that hybrid where you go online and you can look. You have like a medicinal menu, and then you have the rec menu. And if you're medical, you can look at either, but if you're not medical, you can't go into the medical one.
Huh.
But it's nice because if you're medical, if you have a medical card, which now is free. Like once upon a time it was like you know
Wow.
$50 to get it, and then it went down to 25, and now it's free because if you do have a medical, like I have a medical card because of all the back issues that I have. And that's actually how I kind of got into the cannabis scene, really, is when I came back home in the very beginning of 2020, like 1 week before everything got shut down.
Yeah.
I came back home. My grandmother was still alive, my father was still alive, and my mom was caretaking for both and was just like overwhelmed.
Mm.
My grandmother was in her 90s. My father was a vet, and my father was exposed to Agent Orange when he was in Vietnam. And the way that it affected my father was he ended up getting a rapid progressive aphasia. So
Mm.
dad couldn't really talk towards the end. Over the last like 8 years of his life, it kind of like went a little bit at a time. It
Mm.
started out with he would have a conversation with you, and the beginning of the sentence was good, the end of the sentence was good. In that middle period, it was kind of like Charlie Brown's teacher, like you didn't really
Yeah.
know what was happening. And that kind of led us to, seeking some advice from the VA and multiple tests and scans of his brain. And then they kind of diagnosed him with the aphasia. And he got progressively worse. Um, and when he did finally pass away, he really actually passed because he used to pace back and forth in mom's house, and he fell because his balance became affected by it, his cognitive abilities became affected by it, his spatial abilities became affected by it, and he fell. Mom obviously couldn't pick him up because my mother's this teeny tiny little woman, like my grandmother, teeny tiny. And the ambulance came and got him. He went to the hospital. He was looking better. They sent him to rehab, and we all thought he was doing better. And then I started to notice that I thought he was having absent seizures. He was kind of starting to stare into outer space. And one of us was always with him when he was awake because he couldn't vocalize what he needed. So one of us was always there if he was awake. I would go see him, and then at the time I was working at a local hospital ED, and I would go see dad and then go to work, or I would, go see dad the whole day if it was a weekend or whatever. Um, and it would just give mom a little bit of a break. My grandmother had already passed at that point in time. And then dad finally passed. He got a UTI, and that was it. I thought he was, doing better. I thought the absent seizures were gonna, work themselves out with some medication. And my mom called me one day and said, "Dad's gone." And I'm like, "Oh, did they take him for a brain scan?" No, he had just that was it. He was just gone. And she was with him. Like, he didn't die alone. Neither did either of my grandparents. I was with both of my grandparents when they died. My father was with my mom, so nobody passed by themselves. And that's kind of like how our family is. We don't particularly like nursing homes, and we try to like take care of our older folks. So
Oh, Austin, I love that story.
there you go.
And it makes a difference, I
It
think.
does. It does.
So, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, you said that you come from, there's native blood that runs through your veins. Do you want to
Yeah.
share that story?
Yeah. So I mean, I know there's Mohawk in me from my maternal side. Um, like I think I said to you before we started recording, I'm told that that's why I'm kind of fiery and spicy. But I mean, I'm really kind of laid back. But when I get heated, I get heated. Um, and I'm a Sag, so I probably shouldn't, but I just, you know, um,
I get
but
it. I
yeah,
get it.
yeah. So, but I really think that influences the way that I make products.
Yeah.
My grandmother always used to. I was always close to both of my maternal grandparents, and I was at the house a lot as a kid because they were only like 10 minutes away, 5 or 10 minutes away from my mom's. So if I wasn't like with my parents, I would until I was older, I was usually with my grandparents. So I was always the secret keeper. My grandmother used to tell me stories all the time about, she was raised in Pawtucket, but she was one of 11 and she was towards the bottom of the family. And
Wow.
so, like, when she was little, sometimes they would still drive up into like the Montreal area to go see, family, like, grandparents or whatever.
Right.
And my great grandparents spoke French in the household. Like, my great grandmother didn't even speak English.
That's so
Um,
cool.
right. And so she used to tell me stories about her grandfather who was like a medicine man.
Mm.
So I
Mm.
kind of feel like that somehow influences the way that I make paint rollers, the way that I kind of blend stuff together.
I
I
love that.
it feels right when I do it. Like I can't really explain it. It's just kind of I just feel like I'm doing what I'm meant to be doing.
Oh, that's perfect. Yes, I totally get that. You got little ancestors going in the back saying, add a little more tea leaf to that.
Yeah, just put that together. It'll just work. Okay. So like, when I started making the paint rollers, I don't know, I'm assuming Leah Johnson. You
Oh,
guys
yeah.
She went to school with you too.
Yeah.
She's another alum.
Yes.
I found her on LinkedIn, like
Uh
just
huh.
like when I started using cannabis to treat my own pain, which was back in 2020 when I first met my pain doctor, because he's the one who suggested it. I just like couldn't read enough about cannabis. It was like,
Yeah.
what does it do? Oh my God, it does everything. Like, it's not like the cure all for everything, but it does so many things, even from like just a plant perspective. It's just like the super plant. So, like, when I think about cannabis in my head, I think of it having like a little cape and like a little superhero. Like, that's just how like my image of cannabis is, right?
That's the avatar.
Exactly. That's like how I think of cannabis. And So I started reading posts that she was putting out, and I finally like reached out to her shortly after I found out about that's how I found out about the program. And I asked her about like, I have chronic migraines, and I said, I keep seeing these migraine rollers, like, they're peppermint, or there's a combination of herbs and essential oils, and if I wanted to put CBD with this, like just for my own use, like what would I do? So we had this conversation back and forth, and then that kind of like migrated into using it for other pain relief. And then that kind of migrated into like my best friend has fibromyalgia and chronic pain from other stuff. And so then it became about like, us test driving like different options. And at one point it was, all right, let's just use like Voltaren and mix CBD with it, and let's just use lidocaine and mix like, so it wasn't always natural, but then it kind of went back into essential oils and CBD. And so now that's kind of where we're at, where these little like 10 ml rollers,
Mm-hmm.
like I know I sent you like some stuff, right? So like
Yes.
my stuff goes like, that's a regular size roller, and these, depending on how much you use it, like these will last you. They could last you a month. They could last you a couple weeks. It just depends on how much you use it. But
Right.
I make a wide variety of doses. Some are just CBD. I do make some that don't have CBD. So if any of your folks out there are still serving or still employed by the government, can't have CBD because they test full plant, I do make options that don't have CBD in them, that are still helpful for pain.
I
And
love it. I love
yeah,
it. Hey, we're going to talk about your product in detail. I'm
okay.
going to take a really quick
Yeah, take
commercial
your break.
break.
Yep, take a break.
And I want to kind of, this is going to be like the commercial. And if you like it, we'll talk
Mhm.
afterwards. Okay.
Yeah,
Wink,
of
wink, wink,
course.
wink. We'll be right
Of
back.
course.
And we are back with Austen, and he has some wonderful products that he is churning out of his apothecary. And he actually sent me some really cool stuff. I want to show the group of our listeners. I got this wonderful package in the mail. And it was, as soon as I opened up the box, my whole living room smelled like a Zen garden. I mean, I'm not even making that up. It smells so good.
So
So,
those are our little sample sizes.
yes,
I think they're cute.
I
Personally.
I was looking at these things and they have like a little what is it? A little
It's
dropper, the
dropper.
little
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
teeny tiniest dropper I've ever seen in my life. It was so cute. So your packaging is it's boutique. It's kind of what's giving me boutique vibes.
Well, I mean, I wanted it to be like a gift. Like when I first started, I was like, well, I want it to be like a present, like like you're sending somebody a gift in the mail, but I wanted it to still be kind of natural. So just about everything packaging wise, you can recycle, right? So you can or reuse or some of it you can even compost, like the bag and stuff.
Hmm.
So I mean, I use shred in the box. I use a little bit of
Hmm.
shred sometimes in the bottom of the bag, depending on how much is in there. The colors are the amber and the black and the green. So that's why we use we use the black paper and the black ribbon. Um, I just didn't want it to be, like overly foofy or I want it to be very like, somewhat masculine, but also kind
Yes.
of gender neutral. And I wanted it to remain kind of like earthy, crunchy. I mean, the stuff is still made in my house because I'm not at the point where I have to move it out yet. And I have solar panels on the house. I like the idea of using shred because you're reusing stuff.
Mhm.
I like to be able to recycle stuff. If anybody does get these guys, I mean, you can always recycle them, but you can also throw them in the dishwasher and sanitize them.
Oh my
um,
goodness.
yeah, so I mean, I'm really conscious about that stuff. I think the only thing that you probably can't, and some communities might be able to, is when you do get like a full size bottle or a full size, if you get a 2 ounce beard oil or whatever like this,
Hmm.
we do put the little plastic around the little band around the top to seal
Yeah.
it, and that might be recyclable in some communities. Up here, it's not, but it would just be dependent on where you are. But
Right. Exactly.
that's
So this
important.
one, that one didn't come through right. But I kind of wanted to show the full size bottle of and I used this today
Did you?
actually. This is your hair oil, and
That's
I'm
actually
feeling I'm
that's
feeling
actually
pretty silky smooth right
and that's
now.
actually
And
not the full size bottle. That's actually the tester. That's actually
oh,
like the sample
really?
size. Yeah, I sent you the sample size. The full size is actually this one. It's a 4 ounce.
Oh, dude. Here I'm thinking, oh, this is awesome. He gave me a full size.
No, because I thought this would be overwhelming to send you this one.
No, that's amazing.
So I sent you the sample size. So the sample size is 15 milliliters.
Uh
But you
huh.
got and part of the reason why I sent you that one too is because I thought if you wanted to take it someplace, it's easy to put in a
Oh,
bag.
travel size. Travel
Yeah,
size.
yeah,
I
and
love.
it's got the locking top, so that's
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So I
so
used it today and I'm feeling silky smooth and I
yeah.
smell wonderful. So
How does this? What does it smell like to you?
don't make fun of me, but
No, not at
it's
all.
a very homey. Whenever I opened up your box and using your product, when I was a kid, I would walk into J.C. Penney
Mhm.
and that new clothes smell and
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
around the perfume counter type too. It was you're
Okay.
kind of like going
Yeah.
through a journey, and like Christmas time or birthdays are usually when I go to J.C. Penney with my parents when I was young, and that's what your fragrances. That's the memories that come back is walking through J.C. Penney looking for something new.
So I've gotten feedback on the yes please, and multiple people have told me that it smells like Home Depot, and I'm like, I don't smell that, but okay, I mean, whatever.
That could
It
be
makes me
also
laugh
kind of
when
dreamy too, you know. If you're
my attitude is as long as you like it,
Yes.
It can be whatever, whatever. And that one in particular is really like, yes, please. And it's kind of like, well, just say yes to whatever. I mean, whatever makes you happy. As long as it smells good and you like it and you're going to use it, who am I to tell you what you're saying yes to? I mean,
Uh, uh, yeah, I love it, and it's not overbearing. It's not like, ooh, okay, it doesn't like smack you in the face. Maybe it's the eucalyptus notes. I was smelling your products yesterday, like one by one. And I'm there like, okay, well, none of this is like really overbearing, like boom, like punchy.
Mhm.
It's very mellow. It's very chill. And I'm thinking, I don't know if I have enough words in my vocabulary to kind of, so maybe you can help me out with some of this. But I do have your lineup. And
Awesome.
if we could maybe talk about your lineup, because you have
Sure.
an extensive
Well, there's more
lineup
to
of different
come.
products.
And there's more to come. I mean, like I'm constant. I've got 4 on my counter right now that are like, oh, blend me, but I just haven't blended them yet. So I haven't had time. So I mean, yeah, we can go one by one. I'm getting the lineup too, so that way we can reel it
Yeah,
on.
sure.
Because I
Absolutely.
can't keep them in my head anymore. There's too many. Once upon a time, I had them all like memorized, no problem. But that was when I only had like 10 of them.
So you've been blending since 2022,
hmm
and you started out with the OG blend.
The OG was the original.
Hmm.
So that one originally started out as when I lived in Maine. So I've lived in like 4 states really. I grew up in Rhode Island and I'm back in Rhode Island, and I'm not moving again. So that's it. Like this is where I stay.
Right.
I lived in Alabama for a year for my first year of school, and that was not a good fit. That was not good. So
Oh,
I came back here. It just didn't work for me. Um, and I lived in Maine for about 3.5 years, and I lived in Virginia, right on the DC line, for like 2.5 years, and that's it.
yeah.
Um, so when I lived in Maine, the person I was with really had this thing for Angel for Men. I don't know if you ever smelled that, but it's kind of got like this mixture of cocoa and patchouli.
Hmm.
And I used to wear it,
Hmm.
but I like can't bring myself to spend that much money on
Yeah.
it because it's really pricey. So I was kind of like
Yes.
messing around with like that kind of concept, but I decided that this blend that I came up with, it's different, but it kind of like uses that jumping off
Yeah, the cocoa.
and the patchouli, yeah. But then it's like it needs to have something else in it, so I threw some mint in there and I threw some basil and tea tree in there to kind of like just change it a little bit. And
Yeah.
when a friend of mine smelled it, he was like, "Oh, it smells like." It smells like we're at a really nice restaurant. Some hot waiter walked by with a dessert tray. Oh, okay. So like that's where that description came from. And I was like, okay, okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Or he has a tray of pina coladas. I
tray of something. I don't know.
tray.
Whatever.
So I love OG blend. That's a lot of fun. And then you move over to fresh air from that.
So
And
fresh
so
air.
what was your inspiration for fresh air from OG blend?
Fresh air was actually made for a friend of mine as a Christmas gift. Like I made
Oh,
him like 3 different beard oils. He and I have known each other. My friend Mike and I have known each other since high school. And a lot of the people in my life that are close to me have known me for like a decade or more.
yeah.
Um, I tend to collect friends that like close friends that stay in my life for a long time. I actually have a friend who I've known since we were 4. So
That's
and
special.
I'm
That's
47. So
unique.
I'm 47. So we went all the way through kindergarten, through high school together. We even graduated when we got our bachelor's degrees. We graduated from the same school, the same semester and everything. So we went to Rhode Island College
That's
together.
special. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
good. So you
So
made that fresh air for a
I
very good
made it for
friend of
Mike.
yours.
Yep, I made it for Mike as one of the blends that I made him for Christmas, and it was kind of just so like, all right, let me just add some stuff together, and a lot of times that's what happens is I'll be like, let me just smell things together. And I'll like take the bottles, like the, essential oil bottles, and I'll just like put them together and just like,
Does that work?
smell it
Yeah.
on, and just kind of, oh, that smells good, or that doesn't, or I need this, or and I'll kind of like mix and match them until I get it like how I like it.
Hmm.
And when I did it, I was like, oh, I think he'll like this, and he liked it so much that I had to make it for him like 2 or 3 times because he kept using it. And I gave it to him in one of these. This is a
Oh
two
my
ounce bottle,
goodness.
so like that tells you how much he liked it. Um, and he's had a beard a lot longer than I have, but
So
he
he used that. He uses that for beard oil.
yeah, well, and that's the other thing is that, this can be used as a beard oil, or I also sell them in these guys too. Like this is the same, like I sell fragrance oils and beard oils. They're interchangeable. They're basically the same thing. It just depends on which bottle you buy it in. So if you're a lady or if you're a guy and you don't have a beard and you want to just roll it on, you can use that. You don't have to
Oh,
use this. Or you can take this and rub it in your hands and put it here or put it on a pulse point. You don't have to use it in a beard. The only reason why I originally started with it as a beard oil is because I added in, some vitamin E in there to help with the beard growth
yeah.
and to help nourish the beard. I mean, it does all the stuff that a beard oil does. It will make sure you don't get the facial dandruff. It will, help your beard to grow. It will keep it nourished, but it's also good on your skin too. So if you want to just apply it on the go, if you're a guy and you want to use it in your beard, don't use the roller. It's going to get wrapped up and, your beard's not going to.
Ouch.
Right. So if you are a guy with a beard, I suggest you get the dropper bottle and do that. But if you're, somebody who likes to, apply on the go and put it in a roller, like I do sell them in rollers. So
Nice.
I make a lot of things in rollers. I make that in rollers. I make the pain rollers in rollers. So the thing about the rollers is that you can throw it in a pocket or you can throw it in a purse. You can take it with you. So
Yes.
if you're going to be out all day and you're like, oh, I really want to reapply, the fragrance that I put on this morning, you can take
Hmm.
that with you and do that. So,
Absolutely beautiful. That versatility. And then you have the signature blend,
mm-hmm.
and it smells like rain, grass, and a woodsy smell.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little bit of, it was like I hadn't quite figured out what I wanted to do with Wisman, but I wanted to kind of expand on fresh air. So I kind of had like it's kind of a hybrid between the two.
So the woodsman is, I love these descriptions. Get your flannel.
Yep. Yep. In my head,
And
that was kind of like
ooh,
Hugh Jackman.
oregano. Oh, that's that
Yep.
has some special terpenes in it.
Yep.
Sweet tobacco. That seems to be very popular with
Yeah.
men. I like it too because it kind of reminds me of an uncle who likes to sit around on the rocking chair and put sweet tobacco in his pipe and smoke it. So
I
that,
use a lot of sweet tobacco because I like it. It works well with vanilla. It works well with teakwood. It works really well with leather. So I mean,
mm,
I use tobacco a lot. And like originally when I created Scents, I had kind of like a male line and a female line, and then I would get these really burly guys. Like I don't know how well versed you are in the GLBTQ community, but I've been active in that community for a very long time.
oh,
Um,
good. Oh,
and
Pride Month. This is like
right,
I have the
right.
perfect guest for our for our Pride Month.
Well, we being a GLBTQ owned business, I actually created Spirit of Stonewall, which is further down on the list.
Oh
And
yeah. Did you want to
um,
share with us some
sure,
history on that? Because
sure,
I'm not unfortunately I'm not too aware. So would you like to share?
sure. So anybody who isn't aware, Stonewall is Stonewall was a series of uprisings or riots, depending on who you talk to or how they phrase it, that
Okay.
happened in June of 1969 in New York City. And the Stonewall Bar is still in existence. I actually personally know, a gentleman who was a bartender. I don't think Tree is listening, but if he is, hi Tree. And he was a bartender the nights that was going on, and he has told the story many times. He's been interviewed several times by different publications, and he gives very truthful accounts of what has happened. But basically it was a situation of like a bunch of you know, gay and lesbian folks who, especially like drag queens and transgender folks who were basically tired of having their bars rated simply by just being themselves. Is what
Oh,
it comes down to. So, they would be in the bars, dancing, drinking, having a good time. And then, they'd find out the cops would come in, they would flick a switch, a light would come on, and then they would switch partners to try to like, you know, be in like a heterosexual kind of situation, basically is what would happen. And then they would still get thrown into a paddy wagon, taken down to the station, and like the whole situation over and over again. And like during that series of events, they just basically were like, nope, I'm done. And it became like that they start to fight back. And that's kind of like the like, shift in like the gay liberation movement.
oh
And so
wow.
that's kind of like where pride kind of started to like stem from. And different gay activists will tell you different things, but a lot of the times that's what they kind of go back to. And that's usually like, the turning point in that history. So when I first founded the company, I really wanted to do something that would commemorate Stonewall. So originally I was going to release it as a limited edition. I couldn't keep it in stock.
Oh my
I could
goodness.
not keep it. And it is a great scent. I actually have it on today.
Hmm.
But it's one of those scents that like, people are like, oh, it smells really clean. I really like this. So, I mean, I've had women wear it. I've had men wear it. I've had folks who are non-binary wear it. So it's just one of those things I was like, you know what? I can't keep it limited edition. It's just going to have to be all the time.
Hmm.
So now what I do with it is if I'm going to, like tomorrow, we're going to a small pride. So it'll be like 10% of whatever we sell for Stonewall will go back to, that particular organization. Just like later on in the month, we're doing like a block party for a small organization that's pride related. 10% of it during that time will go back to that organization. So
Oh,
it's a way to honor like GLBTQ organizations without making it a big deal, but be able to do it and make it still relevant.
that's awesome. I love that. And the smell, the spirit of Stonewall.
Hmm.
Oh, oh
And
yeah, I would totally wear that.
it's what I wanted to do was I wanted to create something that would be kind of like nostalgic. Like, think
Yes.
about it. If you're in a bar in the 60s, it's not going to smell like if you're in the bar now, right? It's totally different. So like back then, a lot of the drag queens, if they had money, they would wear Chanel number 5. Well, I'm not going to create Chanel number 5. That's not going to happen. And a lot of the guys, they would wear like whatever aftershave, like some kind of a like Old Spice type of thing. So that's where like your like old barbershop kind of smell and that kind of comes from. And they're drinking whiskey, they're smoking tobacco. And then
Yes.
you've got that smell of like, oh, we just cleaned the bar. So that's like your pine and your grass and a little frankincense just to kind of like spice it up a little bit. So
What
that's
I thought was very whimsical was the put me in coach.
that
And
one.
that I had a lot of fun with that one, smelling it because it has popcorn.
It
It
smells like
smells like
baseball.
buttered popcorn.
It does. Well, it's got that in there. That one was created a couple of years ago. So I have been a lifetime member of the Imperial Court of Rhode Island, which is also it started out as a GLBTQ organization. They're open to everybody. They were originally founded in San Francisco in 1965.
Mhm.
International, the chapter in Rhode Island is obviously the Imperial Court of Rhode Island, but the imperial court system is old. They were founded in 1965. But one of the Rhode Island emperors, because basically they have titles that play off of English monarchy, and the
Okay.
whole purpose of this organization is they are a volunteer 501c3 that raises money for other 501c3s. That's the
Hmm.
yeah. So an emperor a couple of years ago was a baseball and softball fanatic. Like that was like he loved it, loved it, loved it. That was his big thing. He was the first emperor in Rhode Island to ever reign by himself. Usually we have like two monarchs that reign together. He was the first male monarch to ever do it by himself. So to be supportive of a fellow male monarch, I was like, well, let's create a fundraiser for the year. So this is what I created. Put me in coach to kind of honor what he liked, and this became a fundraiser for the year.
And how did it do? Was it well received? Because I find it very whimsical and nice.
A lot of people liked the scent, but it didn't. My business wasn't quite as big now as it is
Yeah.
now. So it probably would have done better. If he had reigned like now, it might be
Yeah.
better. But
Yes.
that's okay. I mean, there definitely was money that went back to Imperial Court of Islands. So.
I love your stories. I love your fundraising for other 501(c)s, giving back to the community. I really dig that. Hey, giving back to the community, I would need to do a shout out to the veterans, and we're going to come right back after our tribute to the troops. Stay tuned. And we are back. Austen, are you there? Oh, goodness. I hope we didn't lose Austen. We'll put him on standby there. In addition to the oils and the beard oil, he also sells the pain rollers, and like he was saying before, they have either CBD in it, or you can get the pain rollers without CBD in it. And so check out Austen, and his website is called The Inspired Jewel. I don't think it's up quite yet. So if we could bring up his email, please, Mr. Sound Guy, if you are interested in any of Austen's products. Okay, I think he's back, so maybe we can do an ending here. I love.
I can hear you and see you, but I guess you couldn't hear or see me. So
No, I welcome back. So we're putting up your email address because your website is not quite up yet. Did you
yeah,
want to talk about the bad actor real quick?
the back. Oh, okay. So I had a website. It was fine, and then it had to be expanded on because I had so many things that had to go
Yeah.
on. I hired a professional company, and they took my money, scammed me, got about $7,000 out of me, and they put my website down for about 8 months and basically never did anything to fix it. So my best friend stepped in and is in the process of trying to make it better. So I think she's actually like trying to do it now because
Mhm.
when I spoke with her earlier today, she's like, okay, I think I got it. So I thought it was up, but sorry guys.
I totally get that. I have a micro company as well. The Tribal Hemco is my line of products. They have recently had to move their operation out of their state because of legislation just kind of closed down their operation. So I'm in limbo too. This is kind of a tough.
I'm lucky enough to not have to move out of Rhode Island. I mean, that's the nice thing about Rhode Island is as long as I don't do anything edible, like as
Yes.
long as it's topical,
Yes.
I'm good. I don't have to do anything different. And that's also part of the reason why my CBD stuff is not. I don't have CBD in any of my beard oils. Like that's the
Right.
non CBD piece, and then there's
Yeah.
this other piece. That's also why I do make pain rollers that don't have CBD in them as well. So
Yes.
it gives you options, so it's not all the same. But
Have you ever thought of moving into THC and adding that to your?
I have, but that's also a different licensing for that too in Rhode
Okay,
Island.
got it.
So
So are
it
you
could
like a
happen at some point.
manufacturer? Do you have to have a manufacturer's license to be making
Right
your
now,
products?
I can do just a retail license as long as I'm CBD and topical. Um,
Okay.
I can do all that stuff under a retail license in Rhode Island. And
Nice.
because I don't have a storefront, and I'm based out of Rhode Island, I can, that's all under retail. But if I decide to do THC or if I want to do something that's edible, then it's a different licensure. So, I mean, there might be a day when I do that.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Yeah.
I guess we'll
Yeah.
see.
We'll see. I mean, you're obviously a very versatile entrepreneur who isn't afraid to, mix things up a little bit. So who knows what's going to be in the future? You're one to watch, Austen.
Well, and I do custom blends, and that's actually how a lot of the pain rollers came to be. I mean, it started out with like just a couple of doses, and then over time, I've had people say to me, "Well, this dose is a little too high, this dose is a little too low," and I've created stuff in the middle, and then offered like small quantities of it, and then different people have sometimes it's taken off, and I've had to offer them all the time. Um, just like the supersonic blend is like that's a big deal with people who have MS or fibromyalgia, or if you're an
Beautiful.
athlete, that kind of thing. So that blend and the Abuelita blend are the two that we really sell the most of. So
Love that. I love that. So we're going to go where we were already at our time. It's been a blast. I've had a
yeah,
blast with you,
it's
Austen.
fun.
This is such a
It's
fun
fun.
product, a fun guy who is very knowledgeable. So as soon as you get your website up, we'll check it out. It is the Inspired Jewel. And would you like to send off with any final words of what's going to happen in the future, or just
Well, I
tune
mean,
in and buy
you never
buy my
know.
product?
You never know what's going to happen. There's always new stuff coming. I really appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely.
I'd love to come back any other time. So,
Yes, I would love that.
yeah,
Okay. Austin, it's been a blast. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
you
Until next
too.
time, folks, stay safe out there.